like the others from the first manual, and it is Project 8, and the objectives are here, and the objectives are select visual aids that are appropriate for your message and the audience. Use visual aids correctly and with ease and confidence. The speech is entitled, and I turn the page over, I can tell you, it is entitled The Inside Out Approach. And I don't know anything about it, so I'm as fascinated as you are.
Earlier in this year, so this 2016, there was a wonderful movie by Walt Disney, and the movie's name was Inside Out. You can see these little characters over here, they're really cute. It was based on the mind of a little girl called Riley, and it was a children's movie, but it came with a beautiful message. And it showed how different emotions play complete havoc in our life. And these emotions were depicted with different little characters. So there was this character which was anger, as you can see. There was fear. There was joy, who was kind of the main character in the movie. There was disgust and sadness. And they showed how these little characters kind of come into our life and they kind of control our life, affect our life. And the reason I've taken this is, as today's topic, is because emotions definitely have profound impact on our lives. So let's talk about it. Before I talk about the inside out approach, what I'd like to do is actually talk about the exact reverse, which is indubitably considered the normal way. And that is the outside-in approach. Now, what do I mean by the outside-in approach? What it basically means is the external world and all the factors and all those influences and people affect us, and we feel emotions, and then we start reacting. So what it says is actually, there are external factors out there, they affect us, and then we feel something. So let's take an example. Let's say someone's angry at you, someone shouts at you, they're really rude at you. Obviously I'm going to be angry. That's the normal way we think. He was angry at me, of course I'm going to be angry, of course I'm going to be sad. If someone's lovely to you, I feel good. So there's an external factor affecting you, and then you have an emotion. But emotions don't just come by themselves, right? There's a thought before an emotion. So a thought always precedes an emotion. So let's say the external factor, then you have a thought, and then you feel an emotion. But because it happens so fast, in a nanosecond, you don't even realize that you actually had a thought. But this is the standard way we look at things. Now the interesting thing is, if this is correct, so if this was true, what it would mean that everyone should react in the same way when the situation is same. So if someone shouts at a receptionist, let's say in a hotel, irrespective of who the receptionist, she should react in the same way. But you know that doesn't happen, right? Some get angry, some roll their eyes, some say, that's perfectly fine, ma'am, I can do this for you, and they turn around, they go in the back office and they have something to say. But on a front surface level, as Ronnie talked about emotions, we can actually hide our true feelings through our body language. So it's interesting to think, is this outside-in approach true? Well, frankly speaking, it's not. Because in this kind of thought, we're saying that external factors control us. And that's why I moved to what I call is the inside-out approach, which is saying that irrespective of whatever's going outside in this world, irrespective of whatever people say to you, do to you, or whatever happens, you have a choice. So there's a stimulus out there which could affect someone or us. How you react or respond to it, you have a choice. Now, as I said earlier, you have a thought. Now, these thoughts often come from our childhood, from the way we are brought up, our cultures. So the thoughts are based on our preconceived notions, how we see, how we've learned things. So we don't realize it, as one of my colleagues talked in terms of a spontaneous instant response. It's almost like autopilot. So you don't even realize that you thought about something, because that thought just sprung out. And that's your response. But it is coming from inside. And if that is the reality, and you are the creator of your thought, what I'm trying to bring yourself today, this evening, is if you are the creator of the thought, then you can change it. So what it means is you're trying to shift the control from being a victim, or of course I'll be angry, of course I'll be sad in the situation, saying, actually I can decide how to react or respond in a situation. So shifting from being a victim to being a victor is moving from being a person who responds to something to a person who has a choice to decide how to live their life. And it is actually empowering each one of us when we say that we're in control. And just to give you an example, let's say there was a time, I remember a few years ago, there was a tsunami in Japan, and I was reading an article about a person. And he was sitting at the dinner table with his family, and within the next 40 minutes or so, suddenly this massive tsunami came, everything blew away. And he saw his family somewhere out there, 5 dead, all dead. I have so many examples out here where people have gone through dramatic and drastic experiences and they've stood up and gone ahead in life. And how did that happen? Because different people react in different ways. And as some of my colleagues have said earlier, you have a choice. And that's where you are getting in saying, you internally can change your life to the way you respond. As I said, in terms of a simple example, is like a job example. So let's say we talk about someone saying the job market is completely saturated, I can't find a job, what do I do? That's kind of resigning. And the other approach is saying, well, yes, I do understand the market is saturated, maybe I need to try better, or I need to try multiple sources, update my LinkedIn profile, look at my CV, maybe learn some new skills. That's where you're taking control inside and saying, I can transform the outcome based on what I do. On a personal level, I must say I've done that many times in my career. I've done that. I've had a lot of challenges. I've fell down and I've got up again, and it has transformed my life. Relationships, preferably I won't want to discuss on this platform, but of course I've had some interesting experience and I've learned from that. And I definitely must say that it has changed my perspective towards life. I won't deny the fact that even today, there are a lot of times when I comfortably slip into that victim zone and say, how could they do this to me? This is not fair. But then I just realize and remind myself, well, no, it is not the outside in, it's the inside out approach. So what I would like to do is talk to you and just mention that often what we call those so-called negative situations are not really there. We change it. So if there's any takeaway from today, I'd like to say that life is something that we create by ourselves through our actions and emotions, and we can change it by the way we react. Mr. President.
Sandip has spoken, and we now have the choice as to how we respond on our response list. So